morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. Lots to talk about today. We've got the Open starting, tomorrow, but technically tonight because of the time differential. So we've got that going on. We've got Steve coming on. We're going to talk some NFL futures with him because he is going to be representing Rolling Insights in the FSGA Futures Draft, which is on Friday. We're gonna talk some futures, and then I've got my fantasy rankings. First run is live on the website, which I said on Monday, so we can walk through that as well. Ryan, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully the new job is going good for you, Ryan. Hopefully it's better than whatever you were doing previously. So we're going to talk the Open first here until Steve comes on in a little bit. There's something else too that I can't remember. I had a draft last night. We can walk through that as well. Let me see if I can find the draft board. Here we go. I can pull this up as well in a bit. All right, so to start out with the Open Championship, this is going to be a tough week for us if you're tailing, because I'm going to bet on someone that has not really had the results that they want this year. But that being said, metrically, they look pretty good. Obviously, they're a great fit for me personally in my stats. And metrically, the last few weeks, they've played much better. They just have not put it all together. And that is Mr. Xander Schauffele. So I am going to be betting Xander at 25-1 outright. I have 4 outrights, or actually 5. 5 outrights. So Xander is going to be the big one for me. He's at 25-1. So you guys know, if you've watched the streams, typically I take outright picks around a quarter of a unit. So that's well and good with him at the 25-1. But I'm also going to be betting him for finishing positions. I don't understand where I can't see the other odds on this. But anyways, Bet365, if you guys have access to that, has the best odds. So I'm going to take Xander Schauffele for 1 unit, top 20, including ties on Bet365. It is plus 105. So 1 unit on the plus 105, Xander, top 20, including ties. And then I'm also going to take him top 10. I was going to take him top 10 at plus 225, including ties on Bet365, but FanDuel has a 30% profit boost for top 5, 10, or 20. So I'm thinking we can take him at top 10 on FanDuel with the 30% boost and get that over 3-1. So that's probably how I'm going to play that. So 1 unit on Xander, top 20, including ties, plus 105. I'm going to max out this boost because it's probably a quarter or a third of a unit around there for me. So I'm going to max this out on Xander, top 10 with the boost, and it'll be over 3-1. So that's kind of my plan there. And then for the outrights, I'm taking Xander, obviously, at 25-1 since I like him this week. I am taking, where did this go? I'm taking Sepp Straka once again. You guys know I bet him quite often. I'm taking him at 50-1. I am taking Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas is 60-1 on Bet365. So if you have access to that book, you can get a better number. Another guy that is just extremely tilting to bet on, but here we are. So Justin Thomas is going to go onto my list at 60-1. And then I'm going to take 2 long shots, and I'm going to bet these guys 8 places. So if you guys don't know what that is, it's taking a quarter of the bet and you're splitting it. So half of it goes on them to win outright, and half of them goes to come top 8 if you bet them 8 places. So the 2 guys that I'm going to be doing in that tier are going to be Harris English and Nick Taylor, both of these guys. So 2 guys, again, that we have actually bet quite a bit. So Nick Taylor and Harris English are going to be the last remaining members of my outright card. I parlayed Rom, Xander, and Vic top 20 on DraftKings. I mean, that should be a fun sweat. I obviously like Xander a lot. I think Rom is perfectly fine, and Victor has, been playing very good golf as of late as well. So I have no issues with that, Ryan. Good luck to you. I'm curious what your payout on that was with the boost. Definitely curious on the payout on that. So, yeah. So 5 guys outright: Xander, Straka, JT. Again, JT 60 to 1 on Bet365. So if you have that book, take it there. And then Harris English and Nick Taylor. These guys I'm taking each way 8 places, and it reduces the odds a little bit. So I think Harris English ended up being like 90 to 1, and then Nick Taylor was around like 100 to 1 when you bake in the place finishing. So yeah. Overall, my cat is going crazy, by the way. So if you guys can hear that, the door is closed and the cat wants in here, unfortunately. Should have left the door open. All right. So that's it for the open, though. But like I said, bigger bets: Xander, T20, plus 105 on Bet365, 10 to 1 with a boost. Okay. That's a nice sweat there. I don't mind it. I can't bet on DraftKings. I can't take those boosts really because they limit me like so extremely. FanDuel at least lets me put like $25 on a boost. DraftKings, it's like $5. So I don't mess around with them a ton. I probably should do it more though. Just on like lotteries. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of forget about it, I guess. I'd be more motivated if they would even let me put, like $15 on it. I would at least kind of entertain it a little bit more, but it is what it is. All right, so that does it for the open. 5 outrights, a 1-unit play on Xander finishing position, and then another, quarter to a half unit on the top 10 with the boost. Mike, what's up? Yeah, I am going over fantasy football. I'm going to pull up the draft that I did last night, and then Steve is coming on at 11:30, and we're going to talk NFL futures and some fantasy rankings that I have up as well. If you want to view them, they are on rollinginsights.com. I'll share that link out after the stream, though. You got the 111 in your main league this year. Okay. Did Jets overpay on Wilson and Sauce? How much? Terry will. I don't know. I think Terry will get probably like the standard. He's a little bit older than Garrett Wilson, so I don't know. He's kind of like tough to market for me, just because of his age. Like he's not like Garrett Wilson and those guys are, 20 like still like mid. Like Garrett Wilson's only 24, right? Like Terry McLaurin's been in the league for quite some time. He's 29 years old. So I know like Chris Godwin was coming off like a pretty serious injury, but I would probably look at Chris Godwin's, type money and then expand on that. I think Terry McLaurin will probably get a little bit more, but I don't know. Not saying McLaurin's not worth it. It's just, it's tougher to, factor that in when he's, older. As far as the Jets overpaying, Gardner maybe, just because he wasn't bad last year, but he wasn't kind of what we've come to know of him. I don't think Garrett Wilson was an overpay at all. I think Garrett Wilson is extremely good, underrated receiver just in terms of his actual playing ability. For being only 24 years old, he doesn't get included in the top conversation quite often, but I definitely think he has potential to get there. He's never had a quarterback. I think I saw he's played with 7 different quarterbacks in his NFL career. He's never missed a game. He's played every single game since he got drafted by the Jets. So The durability is there. The raw just talent and still has a very nice ceiling on him is there. And he's done it despite, really just suspect quarterback play. So I don't think Garrett Wilson was an overpay at all, but Sauce, I think you can make the argument for that. Mike, so I don't know like how often you've tuned into the streams, but I will have like a full draft kit on rollinginsights.com. It's free. So yeah, still doesn't have a quarterback. Yeah. I mean, Justin Fields, maybe. Like Justin Fields, okay. I mean, you could put Aaron Rodgers in his own tier because Aaron Rodgers, even though he's very old, is still objectively good. Not what he was even like his last years in Green Bay. I mean, he won MVP. I think that was that second. I think that was that second to last year in Green Bay. But he's still capable. But Garrett Wilson got screwed that one year. Rodgers goes down on the first drive of the year, and then he's stuck with Zach Wilson and like that whole situation after that. And then last year, he had Aaron Rodgers. He wasn't what people thought he was going to be because you got to think back. He was a first round fantasy pick, at this time last year and didn't pan out to that. But, he still had capable, quarterback play for the majority of the season. He's going to get a step down in that this year with Justin Fields, but also they have chemistry because they played at Ohio State together. But he's gone over 1,000 yards in every single season, despite catching passes from, who all would he, if you asked me to name those 7 quarterbacks that he's caught passes from, we're looking at Aaron Rodgers, Zach Wilson, Mike White, probably Tyrod Taylor. And then I'd have to think about those other ones, but it got over catch of the year against Houston. Yeah, I agree with that. Going over 1,000 yards in every season. He had 7 touchdowns last year. His reception total has gone up every season, 83 to 95 and then 95 to 101. So even with a step down potentially in quarterback play from Rodgers to Fields, I still think he's fine. I have no issues with paying him. But yeah, like I said, full draft kit, rollinginsights.com. I have a data space with my rankings that's going to get updated every Monday. That first run of those rankings is up. We've got one divisional preview up. The rest are coming very soon. We will have a futures article, sleepers and busts article, some stacks in an article as well, and how I think you can go about that depending on your league. And then, of course, once we get into August, my big article, if you're playing whatever your most important league to you is, draft it based off my article. It's exactly how I'm drafting my team. I've posted that article the last few years. It's typically pretty long, round by round targets, exactly, literally a map of how I'm drafting my team. So that'll be coming out, obviously, once we get into August as well. So pretty excited for that. Let me pull up the draft that we did last night. So this was and if you guys missed the golf picks or you need a more clarification, I, as always, will tweet out the golf picks. So don't worry on that. I'll tweet that out later. Let me share my screen for the draft. So this was a very, very tough draft, and I'm going to tell you guys why. So if you don't know, first of all, these drafts are always tough, these FSGA drafts, because it's people that, work for different companies. You can see the representation here, Roto Underworld, Walter Picks, Fast Draft Matt Kelly has a very big podcast, FFPC, Fantasy Alarm, Full-Time Fantasy, RotoWire, Fantasy Spin, and Will is in there. So these drafts are always hard, just because of the quality, I guess, of the competition that you're playing against. What made this specifically hard was typically these best ball drafts are 14 teams. Because I've done this league the last few years, and I've come, I think my best finish is like 3rd place in one of these. The best ball specifically. So I've done pretty well, but a 14-team best ball league is hard. It's just flat out hard, especially this one because you're baking in a kicker and a defense as well. It's not a traditional, underdog or DraftKings best ball league where there's no kicker, no defense. So it's tough to navigate. Now, what made this one hard last night was instead of being 14 teams, it was a 17-team league. First of all, I've never even drafted in a 17-team fantasy football league, let alone best ball, which means that, you can't make any moves throughout the season. And that also means that two teams are not going to have backup quarterbacks, backup kickers, because, there's only 32 teams and there's 34. If you're going to have two quarterbacks, if all 17 teams have two quarterbacks, it's 34. So not everyone is going to have a distinct backup quarterback. Not everyone's going to have a backup kicker. There's potential for, some teams to only have one defense, which is in there because there's only 32 defenses. So it was a really, really tough draft to navigate. But I got lucky. I got the second pick, and I was really happy with that. So you can see my team here. In best ball specifically, I kind of lean into the hero RB. I just realized I didn't send Steve the link to this. I'm going to do that. I kind of lean into hero running back in best ball anyways, especially in a 17-team league. So I was pretty excited to draw this 2 slot because I knew I was going to be able to get a running back, and it was going to be a running back that I have a tier above everyone else. Because for me personally, I would have Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson in their own tier for the upcoming season. I think those two are the clear 1 and 2, and then you can get into the everyone else, whether it be Saquon Barkley, Ashton Genty. I think is in a good spot. Devon Achane, those guys, I like those guys a lot. But I think Bijan and Gibbs are in their own tier. Gibbs specifically for me would be the number 1 running back just because we've kind of seen what he's done on the field. And I think people are not factoring in the change of offense in Detroit. Like, this is not a Ben Johnson offense anymore. This is going to be a completely new offense. And I'm willing to lean into that unknown. There's a chance that, he is more kind of clear cut than David Montgomery in the new offense. There's also a very significant chance that, they throw the ball more than we were accustomed to with Ben Johnson, and he is going to catch some more passes. He's clearly the pass catching back there, and he's just like one of the best players in football. I mean, I think that's clear and obvious. So being able to get Jahmyr Gibbs was ideal for me, wanting to go hero running back, and then I could just wait after that on running back. So you could see I took Jahmyr Gibbs with my second pick on the way back. It was a long time until it came back to me to pick again. I went ahead and took Rashee Rice, someone I was very high on last year if you followed me. And I mean, we got robbed of that last year because Rashee Rice was essentially like the second or third best receiver in fantasy football last year until he unfortunately got a significant knee injury. But we were taking him in like the 5th round last year ahead of ADP, and he was absolutely dominating until he got hurt. So he goes a lot higher this year than he did last year, but I'm completely comfortable with him, where he currently goes. So I kind of just let that fall to me. That's who I had ranked the highest of the wide receivers remaining. So I grabbed him. And the guy behind me, Travis here, he double tapped running back again. So he's 3 running backs to start. So he just went super robust running back. That allowed me to take George Kittle. I was debating Kittle versus Jackson Smith-Njigba versus Garrett Wilson. That was kind of my debate when I was on the clock. And I pressed the button on Kittle, because I think Kittle is going to crush this year. Easy schedule for the 49ers. We don't know when Brandon Ayuk's going to be back. He's probably going to miss a couple games at least to start the season. He's been reliable for Brock Purdy. But more so than that, having a point and talent gap at tight end in a 17-team league, I think is just a major, major advantage. So I have him ranked actually second. So Trey McBride went ahead of him. I actually have it Bowers, Kittle, McBride. McBride ended up going ahead of Kittle, but I was completely comfortable taking Kittle there. And you guys know I like Brock Purdy a lot this year for fantasy. So I was thinking, there's potential, stacking down the road. Maybe I could get Pearsall too. Maybe I could take Purdy. So that was kind of going through my head, but love getting a big tight end in a 17-team league. I think that's a huge advantage. On the way back to me, really wanted Worthy to fall since I had Rice and I saw Mahomes was on the board. So I thought maybe I could just go all in, on the Chiefs here, even though I didn't enter the draft with any intention to stack the Chiefs. Not really a stack that I'm even that interested in this year, but that it's a 17-team league, and that's kind of just how it fell to me. And if I have the opportunity to do it, I'm going to do it. So I was hoping Worthy made it to me. Unfortunately, Scott Atkins here sniped him 2 picks before me, but I'm completely comfortable taking Jalen Waddle. I'm way higher than consensus on Jalen Waddle this year, especially after that Jonnu Smith trade. I think Devon Achane and Jalen Waddle just get a significant boost with Jonnu Smith out of the picture. And I'm pretty excited to get him at this pick. I'm trying to check. I have him like significantly, like the fact that I was able to get him in the 4th round of a 17-team league is pretty crazy. I just don't understand how he falls this far. Like I would take him. I like Devonta Smith, but I would take him over the majority of these other players that went. Like I would even take him over. I mean, I'd probably take Jalen Waddle over like Sutton right now. And he went significantly higher. So I just think it was interesting that I was able to get him. And then Patrick Mahomes fell to me again. I don't even have Patrick Mahomes ranked that high. I think I have him at 7 or 8 for quarterback. I actually have Brock Purdy ranked ahead of him. But just given that he fell to me at this pick, I already had Rashee Rice. It just made sense. So I went ahead, especially in a 17-team league, to just get consistent quarterback play is fine. And I knew I was going to take 2 quarterbacks early. So I was really hoping maybe that Purdy would make it back to me. And he almost did. Once again, Scott Atkins blocked me. But anyways, took Mahomes there. On the way back, like I said, really wanted to go Purdy here, but he went 2 picks prior. So I just took Jaden Reed. Again, I would be comfortable with Rashee Rice, Jalen Waddle, and Jaden Reed being my receivers in a 12 or 14-team league, let alone a 17. So I was pretty happy about that. Had to grab another quarterback just to make sure I had 2. J.J. McCarthy, another one I'm pretty high on for this year. I think he's going to crush. So just securing 2 quarterbacks was important for me. I didn't want to be one of the teams with only one. After that, I double topped running back to go along with Gibbs. I took Jaden Blue from Dallas. I think he'll be their RB1, maybe not early on, but at least by the end of the season. So I was completely fine reaching on him. And then Jordan Mason, I'm really high on. He was ranked pretty far down on the RT Sports rankings on the website, but I think he has a pretty clear path to be the Vikings goal line back. I don't think that they were very pleased with how Aaron Jones performed in the red zone last year. If you guys think back to that, I mean, we were betting Aaron Jones for a touchdown because he was just so due for one, and he kept they'd get inside the 5 and he could not convert. So I like Jordan Mason as a value. I have him ranked well ahead of ADP, so I grabbed him. Marquise Brown to go along with the Mahomes and Rice just made sense. Isaiah Likely, I think, is a fantastic pick here. I don't understand. Mason Taylor, I like as a prospect, but Darren Waller, I didn't understand some of these tight ends in this range, wanting them in comparison to Likely. I would take Likely over Kyle Pitts. I'm sorry, I would. And you guys know I'm an OG Kyle Pitts fan. But Isaiah Likely has objectively been good in the NFL for multiple seasons, and Kyle Pitts has done nothing since having some yards in his rookie season. So I like getting Likely as my backup tight end. Kickers, defenses. Romeo Dobbs, I think, was a good pick. I like Quentin Johnston too. I was debating Dobbs versus QJ. Ended up going Dobbs. Just feel a little bit safer about that. Will Shipley, I think, is a smash pick at the end of your drafts. If you like, I would find it hard for me to leave a draft this year without Will Shipley, especially where he goes. Like, getting him late, I think, is such an advantage. I think he is going to. I'm not super scared of A.J. Dillon. I think Will Shipley, should something happen to Saquon Barkley, is a shoo-in to be the Eagles' lead running back in a great offense that we know has a super valuable role. And I think that Will Shipley is like a good football player as well. So even if like I don't have Saquon, because I probably won't draft much Saquon last year. Last year I loved him. This year I probably won't draft much of him. But I'll be taking a lot of Will Shipley just in the event that something happens. You know, you can get lucky, and even if he misses like a game or two, like you have someone that you can start those weeks. So I think Will Shipley's a fantastic late round pick. I would have liked to get 3 tight ends, but I auto-picked my last pick. I put 2 tight ends in my queue, and they both somehow went before it came back to me in this last round. So that's my fault. I should have stayed present for this last pick and secured another tight end. But that's my fault. I really wanted to get Harold Fanta Jr. with that last pick. I don't love rolling with 2 tight ends, but it is what it is. Hopefully one of them is healthy for the entire season, and we don't get burned by that. I do like Roman Wilson as a late receiver pick. Could have taken Jalen Royals just in the event that, you know, he pops off for the Chiefs, just to have another kind of stack option with Mahomes. But Roman Wilson is someone I liked coming out of college and kind of had a lost season last year due to injury. With George Pickens gone, I mean, they really just have DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson. Like, I think Roman Wilson is going to be a factor for the Steelers, and he's obviously going to be playing with a much better quarterback than he ever has been, that being Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, that's my draft. Jalen Naylor with the last pick there I had him in my queue as well. Jordan Addison could miss a couple games. Even if he doesn't, Jalen Naylor has kind of proven to be a touchdown scorer at the NFL level, and I have J.J. McCarthy. So, you know, some potential for just a weird, unique stack that maybe, you know, could win me a week or something, you know? Like, maybe Jalen Naylor catches 2 touchdowns from J.J. McCarthy at some point, and, you know, it just works out that way. But I much would have preferred to have a tight end with this last pick. That's my fault for auto picking. I thought it was hilarious somebody picked Kyle Juszczyk. Like, just an interesting pick. Who did that? Jake Venuti. Deontay Johnson, interesting pick. Phil Maffa, interesting pick. I don't know. I mean, it's 17 teams, but I don't know. Some of these guys, like, just could literally not play. But it was fun. Yeah, Mike Williams is already out, Guru. Yeah, that is a fact. It was a fun draft, though. I love doing these. I have another draft tonight. So if you guys have Sirius XM Fantasy, tonight the draft will be covered live, just like this one was. This one was on Sirius XM last night. So tonight's draft will be covered. I think tonight's draft is at 8. Let me double check for you guys. Yeah, so tonight's draft is at 8 o'clock, and it is a guillotine league. I've never played a guillotine fantasy football league, so this should be pretty fun. Basically, how this works is, I don't know how many teams are in this. Let me see. Let me see if I can find out real quick, because I'm actually curious how many teams are in this. Oh, Steve's in here. I'm going to add him in. Steve, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, man?
Good. We're going through my my draft last night over our
Nice.
FSGA Best Ball League here.
I was pretty impressed actually with some of the picks you got. It lined up very well.
Yeah, I was so normally those are 14 teams, and then last night was 17, which is
Wow.
really, really hard. And because it was 17 teams, that means there's going to be teams that don't have two quarterbacks because there's only 32. So they're going to have to take a risk and hope somebody gets hurt. There's going to be some teams that don't have two kickers or don't have two defenses. So it was really hard to like navigate that. But for it being 17 teams, I was pretty happy with how my team turned out.
So did you get well, you got one quarterback.
Yeah, I have two
Uh
quarterbacks. I have two kickers and two defenses. So I made a point. I was like, I'm
nice.
not taking a zero. So if like I only have two tight ends, I told the story, but my last pick, this draft was like 3 hours long. So the the last pick, I put guys in my queue and then put it on auto. And I had three tight ends in my queue, and they all got picked before it got back to me.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, it took the wide receiver I had in there. So I would have liked to have three tight ends, but hopefully Kittle and
17
likely like
teams. That's
yeah,
tough.
it was hard.
And I'm assuming that there's uh management throughout the year. Is this the same as
No,
the league that I'm in?
this is a best ball league, so there is
Oh,
no moves
gotcha.
to be made,
Yeah,
which makes it even harder for it being 17 teams.
yeah. Fingers crossed that you don't have any injuries at that position then.
Yeah, it's tough. But then tonight I'm in the draft, which is also on Sirius XM, which I said. But tonight's the Guillotine League, which looks like it's also 17 teams, which is going to be hard. But how that league works is if you don't play a matchup every week, you just you put your lineup in and you score points, and whoever scores the least amount of points for the week is eliminated, and all of their players go onto the waiver wire, and then it just progresses like that throughout the season.
Yeah, yeah. Guillotine's fun. I think because you can kind of stock up as the weeks go on,
Hmm.
and it's as much about drafting well as it is about good budget and waiver management weekly.
I've never played in a guillotine league before, so this will be my first
Oh,
time.
really? It's
Yeah,
not. It's not really that different than a kind of head to head. It's just that like each week when players are available, you got to really be on it. Like you got to make sure that you don't.
yeah. I have it looks like I have fifth pick, so
That'll be good. And then the other thing about the guillotine that's tough is you end up with some interesting decisions about the grass being greener on the other side. Because like a
hmm
player will come free, and you're like, oh man, I love that player. Is he better than the player you have? Because I always find I have this tendency to desire the player that's available, not the
yeah.
player that I have. And I kind of because I watch the players on my team so closely each week, and I don't watch those other players as closely.
Hmm.
That I end up seeing more of the negative in the players that I have. So it's just it's always the same type of biases. It's the same as when you pick up someone off the waiver wire in a regular head-to-head season.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So maybe I don't know the answer to this, but what like is it like typical like if you're the worst of the remaining teams, you have first priority on the waiver wire, or is it like a budget?
I I think it can go both ways, but I haven't played in the FSGA
Yeah,
uh,
I don't know if there's
guillotine
like a
league before.
wrinkle or anything like that.
But when I'm trying to think back, I think in the past it was the budget. It was
Hmm.
which makes a lot of sense because if you do it kind of a ranking each week, everyone's going to kind of pick up all the best players. But if you've got a budget, and if I remember correctly, the league that I played in had actually a relatively thin budget, so you had to make some tough decisions. Like you couldn't every week just go and kind of throw down some heavy bids on all the players coming available. You had to space it out and think about similar to like we were talking about the end of last year about budget management. If you've got the dollars at the end of the season, spend them. but you got to make sure that you can save those dollars for the end of the season so that if you find yourself in a playoff spot, you don't end up with $0 in the bank account and miss
Yeah.
out on, a critical guy like Bucky or somebody who, could be really helpful and was the league winner in a lot of leagues for those final remaining weeks. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of the same. To be honest, it's very similar to season long head to head.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm confident in my, abilities, but it's just interesting because I've never done it before. But yeah, so
The hardest part, in my opinion, as I said before, not to belabor the point, is you just have these guys coming on and they're good players.
Mhm.
That's the hard part. Is like, ooh, is this guy better than mine? Remember, the guy who got knocked off, he's the worst team in the league,
Yeah.
and his players are available.
Yeah. No, it should be fun. When do you have any other drafts other than the futures draft?
I've got the FSGA season long head to head tomorrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
So
when is that? Okay,
on
nice.
Sirius XM. So yeah, anyone listening in,
Will
I
will
don't know.
there
Last
be
time,
will there be use of my rankings in this draft?
well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So I think heading into this, what I was hoping to do is get some strategy, talk some strategy with you. We'll do it on the air. Talk about my strategy preparation for this draft. So that's what I was going to throw on the agenda. I think I saw in your tweet you had NFL futures on there. So
Yeah,
I'm
like, are we
assuming that
gonna
you were planning on talking
are
about
we
it
gonna
too.
prep you for? Yeah. So first of all, there's like a bug. I can't see my data space with my rankings. So we gotta have to work with this on the fly to figure this
What
out.
do you mean? What do you?
It's like a blank. It's blank. I just opened it up and it's
Oh,
blank.
okay. Yeah, I think I sent you a note on that. But I
Well,
think if
could
if
you
you
see it though?
I could see it, yeah. So if you pull it up and just put a one back into
Oh, no, no,
the
no. I mean, it's like there's literally nothing in it. Like there's no players or anything.
no, I know. Yeah. Yeah. So if you put a one in the NFL ranking category, it'll
Oh, yeah, I
reappear. I
got you.
don't
I got you. Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Okay.
save that view again. I don't know what happened there. We'll still have to
Hmm.
investigate why that occurred, but
Yeah.
I was able to see it. So let me see if you can
Yeah, I
see them
got you.
now.
Yeah, I got you.
Is it working?
Okay. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
good. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
And then
But
the
yeah,
other thing
so
is, did you see my note on moving the anchor?
yes, yes, I did. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we're good to go on that.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
just one comment before we leave this.
okay, go ahead.
This is like the who's who of experts. Like you got some tough competition there.
Yeah, that's what I was just telling the chat. I was like, these leagues are hard as it is typically because of who's in them, especially the football ones, because everybody comes out for the football leagues. But making it 17 instead of 14 is just insane. So is yours 14, the one that you'll be drafting tomorrow? I'm assuming.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's
I'm actually have to take the phone call. I'll be right back.
go
Be
ahead.
right back. Okay.
Yeah. So we can keep going through this draft, and then I'll pull up my rankings. But yeah, so like I said, chat at the beginning, Steve is doing a draft on Friday that I've done in the past. I think I've covered it on stream before, and it's where you draft futures picks for NFL and that type of stuff, college football as well. So we're gonna try and coach him up a little bit on who he should take, early stuff I like for futures, and kind of just go from there. And we can coach him up for this draft tomorrow too. I mean, I don't know. He can try and let us know what pick he has, and we can pull up my rankings. Like I said, there's one bug with Ashton Genty in this rankings thing that I need to fix after we get off the stream. But let me pull it up here. You get ranking Trey Harris over Quentin Johnston right now. I do have that right now. Like I said, I'll update my rankings every. Let me pull this up. I'll update my rankings every Monday. So maybe a month from now, if there's still some weird stuff going on, with Trey Harris and like the contract thing, like maybe I'll move QJ up. But for right now, I do agree with that ranking guru. Yes, that's how I have it. Steve, welcome back.
Sorry about that.
No, no
Person was supposed
problem.
to call me before 9:30.
So I kind of let the chat know, like I think like even last year when I was still with Rolling Insights, like I drafted my futures team on stream, so they kind of know the gist of how it works. So I
Oh,
was like,
nice.
we can coach you up for that a little bit. We can coach you up for your draft tomorrow a little bit. If you have any distinct questions or anything specifically you wanted to talk about before that, you can go ahead and fire away though.
Yeah, so we'll do the futures second because, to be honest, I've never been in a futures draft, so I have no idea. I don't even know the rules are. I just agreed because I like predicting the future.
It's the most
Um,
fun draft, honestly. I'm actually bummed like I couldn't make that draft time, but it's fun.
yeah, yeah. So well, the funny part is there's CFL in there. I was like, oh, this is a bit of an
Yeah,
advantage
what
for
is
me.
it? CFL, college football, and like NFL?
Yeah, yeah. College football will be a weakness, but CFL will be an advantage. So, well, not that you can really get an advantage in such a small league, but uh, so for tomorrow, I think I did pretty well last year. I can't remember. Maybe I came in the top 3 or 4, but did well. And if I remember correctly, the Jamar Chase train in the some of those final weeks where him and uh, Cincy Joe kind of went off. I think one of the weeks I was facing someone who had Chase and Cincy Joe in the same week.
Yeah, that's tough.
And so, anyways, it did well last year. I think my league management, particularly because I use SportWise, my league management, like week to week, is very good. Where I struggle is in the draft. And there's a couple of things that I think I struggle with. Um, uh, I'll share my strategy first, and then we can talk about what I struggle with. So I generally, as most people do, try to draft by position. So I try to go back and forth between wide receiver and running backs. I used to always pick a running back first, but I've switched that recently to pick whoever is kind of available on the board, who I think is going to be the highest producer for the year between running back and wide receiver. So I will switch back and forth between those two. I will try to get 4 of them, and then I will switch my attention to get at least one high-end tight end. And then I will go back and forth between wide receiver and running back. And I can't remember how many positions are in this one because I think it's 3 and 2, 3 wide receivers and 2. Do you remember in yours, Ben? Are you in the same format? I can just
No,
pull it up here.
yeah. I was gonna say, can you pull it up? So also, because you should be able to see what pick you have, which would help. But the best ball league was 2 running back, 2 receiver, tight end, flex.
Okay,
So
let me just see.
I'm assuming your league is probably the same. Which honestly, if it is, like that does change the strategy for me in comparison to like a normal league nowadays, at least what I would call a normal league, which would be 2 running backs, 3 receiver, tight end flex.
Yeah.
Like if it's
I
only 2
draft fifth.
receiver, okay, that's a good pick. I like that.
Yeah. Actually, I really like fifth because then I'm kind of in the middle of both rounds because I
Yeah,
hate being at the end of
I like having fifth this year, especially. I think 5-6 is it's a good spot to be in.
14 teams.
Okay,
It does look like there's a few killers in this league this year.
who's the competition? Let me know. I'll tell you if we should be scared or not. I'll be blunt.
We got I think Digger.
Eh,
Where do I get this?
love Digger. I don't know if like how much I've competed against Digger though. I don't know. I don't know how he is on the battlefield. I
Oh,
don't think I've competed.
it's not Digger, it's Digger's daughter. Anna.
Oh, so now see that could be a problem. She might be oh man, that could be tough. I don't know. I might
So I
rather want
don't
to
know
face Digger
Combo
than her.
Fantasy Sports, Scott Keeley. I don't know Draft Battle, Seth Torek. I don't know DSP insurance services. There's like these are like all new. Did this get scrambled up? I thought we were in the same league each year, and then they added new teams
There's
because these
probably
are all
new.
different. And other
This
people
could be
dropped
good
out.
though.
We
None
got
of these
Will Ty
people.
from Fantasy Spin. He's a bit
Yeah,
of a killer.
Will is knowledgeable for sure.
Billy from Fast Draft.
Billy is
Um,
good for sure.
very manageable. Does a lot of drafts. Does a lot of
Yeah,
best ball drafts.
yeah, that's
Anna,
two good ones.
Dan McKenna. He was in ours last year. Gaming talent. He was pretty good. Map to See Sports. They're new, but I think they're like PhDs. So that one could be a problem. They could be a problem. RotoWire, Nick Whalen, SCA Promotions, Reagan and Chris. Score on
Okay.
Score, Greg. He was in our league last year. I think he did pretty well. Nate, Cheatham from Fantasy Football Expo and IDP Plus, IDP guys, IDP
I'd
Plus.
like to go head to head with Nate, so that's good. I like that he's
Yeah,
in there.
and then Trophy Smack, Matt Walsh. So pretty good league.
Yeah,
Like a
you
lot
got
of
some
again.
good balance of heavy hitters and like some
Yeah,
new people in there.
yeah. Last year I didn't really know anybody
Mhm.
because there was only uh gaming talent, score on score, something else. I think that was it. Just the two. But yeah,
So,
that's another thing in these leagues is like you gotta know who you're up against.
oh, for sure, most definitely. All right, so I don't know. Where do you want to start? Like, do you just want to like?
Okay,
It would be
so
helpful
we'll
if
start with
my
positional. So I go positions,
okay.
and I don't like break out of that mold because I think in NFL in particular, it's just so important to have
Yeah.
pick based on positional value. I do the same thing in NHL as well. I find in MLB, I find it a little bit harder, but I do the same thing in NHL. Pick based on positions. So um, generally, I try to pick guys that are proven. I don't normally pick a lot of rookies or younger players. Um, kind of going back to Bob Long's consistency report is I want guys who I know who are going to produce, not this guy could be a potential game breaker. Um, trying to remember who I picked last year that was in one league. Gerson Jr., I think, didn't end up turning out. I picked him in a late round though, so it was okay. But so I normally pick guys that are older and more proven. And so I think that's a bit of a weakness. It's one of them. I think I miss out on a few guys, especially coming out of college that could be better performers. But I find that the problem I have in the draft is quite literally the selection process, how I approach each selection. So I know position I'm going to pick. You guys can debate that. Let me know if I'm thinking about it wrong. It's worked well in the past, in especially last year in most leagues. But where I run into the issue is, okay, you got 4 or 5 guys in that particular spot, and it's almost like I panic. Like I got 90 seconds on the clock, and I find myself in the last 15 minutes just kind of like making a decision, as opposed to feeling really confident in the player picked. So, I think one thing is how can I prepare for those picks? Like, how should I be thinking about it? And then number two, given that I'm at the 5th spot, because I know mock drafts are so important and I just don't have enough time anymore to do it enough. Who should I be thinking about taking at 5, 10, 15? And
Okay.
that don't my counting was wrong there, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So okay, here's how so in the chat, if the chat's been around, I mean we got a good amount of people in here. You guys know. I would say you and I draft just in completely differently because for me, I think my edge when I go into these contests is that I know like I don't look since I'm trying to predict the future and not necessarily what they did last season because that doesn't help me. Like what they're going to do this year helps me. I think one of my edges is being able to identify who is going to outperform what they did last year, and then I get ahead of that, and like that's who I get on my team. So, like maybe if I would say I draft more unproven, quote unquote, people than you, just because I think
Agreed.
that Like that's what I think I'm good at, is identifying that. But I also think I'm unique in the way that I draft, and it would be helpful if my big article was out for this, but it's not possible to make it right now because we're still so far out from the season, and I don't know like truly where guys are going to get picked and stuff until we get into when everyone is drafting. But
So is that why you include date of birth on your data space?
Yeah, I just like to I always just like to know. Um, Honestly, it's just helpful for me. But how I literally prepare for my drafts, and anyone that has read my articles in the past knows this. I take it like it's a DFS contest because that's my background. So I go in, I figure out how many teams are in my league and what pick I have, and I will simulate so many drafts over and over and over and over, and I'll take all of the data from those drafts and I literally just create a map of what I want my team to look like. So if these guys are going here, whatever, round by round, I'll be like, I want one of these guys in the first, one of these guys in the second, and I will literally map out exactly how I want my team to go. And if I see someone that in all my mock drafts is going in the 5th round, but I want him and I think he fits well with what I want to do with my team, I will just take him in the 4th round. I don't care. I don't care where he gets picked. I just draft off of, and this is after like the first part of my process is always making my rankings, which we have here on the screen, and I draft straight off of those. Like I'm way higher on some people than where they get drafted. I'm way lower. Like that's just my sauce, my own opinion, but that's how I draft. Like if I came up on the clock, and last year the last 2 years I've been super high on Amon-Ra St. Brown. Everyone that watches this knows that. He was the cover of my article 2 years ago. But if I came up on the clock and Nico Collins and Amon-Ra St. Brown were both on the clock and I was picking 8th or whatever, 10th, I would pick Nico Collins, even though I've been ARSB the last few years. I like Nico Collins more this year, so that's who I would pick. Like these rankings are literally just in order of who I would select over one another. So that's kind
you
of how
just
I do it.
always pick your highest ranked guy that's available.
Yeah, I mean it'll depend like position by position. I'm not just gonna I'm not gonna take 5 receivers in a row or whatever to start the draft if that's how it worked out. But if it comes down to the positional battle, I would always pretty much lean. Like the ranking is how I would lean myself personally. So that's kind of how I go about it. But I mean, it's tougher in a 14-team league than the typical league you're playing in. It's harder to execute that strategy because I play in like 10 or 12 teams. So that's 2 extra teams, which is a lot of roster spots. And these people are smart. They know what they're doing. So it's a little bit harder to execute that strategy in these leagues. But no, I think we can help you. I feel confident. I mean, and you know what's going on too. Like you're not a bad fantasy player. It's just hard.
I want to get better, to be honest. And I think the place that in all fantasy, my week to week management, I think is top notch. My drafts are less than desirable. And we'll just not the expert league that we were in for MLB together. I thought that one went fine. Obviously, the Willie Davis pick didn't work, but it actually hasn't been that bad. He's starting to catch up. Just by the way,
Yeah, he started playing good right before the break there.
Yeah, so in the grand scheme of things, it actually might end up not looking as bad as it did in the beginning. But the in my other league, it's just quite literally the panic of picking players. And in my other league, I'm at the bottom. I think I'm tied for last place. But I picked Matt Olson in the first round and Brandon Nemo in the second. That did not work. But in both instances, it was a panic pick. And the funny thing about Brandon Nemo is I was actually high on Santander. He's obviously injured, hasn't been very good for the Jays. So I actually got a better pick than I was trying to get. So I think that's, if we can focus on something today for tomorrow's draft, is just quite literally what's going through your mind in the moment when you're drafting. Like, how are you preparing for the next pick? Like, I know you're looking at your rankings But what's happening on the screen is different than what's happening in your rankings in your list. And if you just take the highest guy, yeah, that's easier. But like you said, you got to take into positions. I know that you don't take into account how other people are drafting. I sometimes take into, if it seems like a lot of people are going young early, do you get in that train and fight with them for the young guys? Because there is a lot of copycat that happens in drafts. So, anyways, that's where I would like to focus a little bit of time and attention, just specifically draft psychology.
Yeah, speaking of the copycat, I thought it was just hilarious in last night's draft. It came to me, and I took Mahomes in the 5th round, and then Travis was picking after me, and he took Goff, and then the next round, like some quarterbacks went, and he doubled quarterback. Like he took May, and then I took McCarthy, and then it just literally like 8 of the next 9 picks were quarterbacks. Like it just went on like a huge quarterback run. That's funny, but
Well,
I
it's funny
so
because I know exactly what's happening. Like all those guys at home are just like freaking out. They're like, "Why are you taking the quarterback so early?"
I love like messing with people. Like if I'm at the end or beginning of a round and I get to go like 2 in a row, I love to just double the same position and see if it messes with people. I think it's so fun.
Yeah.
But all right, I think what we do is so let's figure this out. There's a couple ways to go about this draft, I think. And it's gonna depend. You said you have 5th pick, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so it's gonna depend who's there when you come up to pick. So if I'm looking at the RT Sports rankings, they have it in the draft room. Chase, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, CeeDee Lamb. That's kind of the top 5. So I feel like my experience from doing these drafts, people tend to go running back heavy in the first few rounds because running backs are more scarce than ever. It's a lot of teams. So if I had to imagine, probably Robinson, Gibbs, and Barkley will be gone when you pick, and then Chase. So you're going to have your pick of some really, really good receivers, that being CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, those two, or you're going to have your pick of the next running backs. I have Ashton Genty at 7 overall. I fixed it in this sheet, and then I accidentally put 77 instead of 7, so he's down. I got to fix it again, but he should be at 7 right here. So, it kind of depends what you want to do. You just said you don't like to take unproven people. So taking a rookie running back at pick number 5, that sounds like that would be a stretch for you. So I think your best case scenario is you take one of CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson. And that would work for me personally because I really like both Dak Prescott and JJ McCarthy. So you're going to have potential to get their quarterback. And both those guys go late at quarterback. So already just by addressing what pick you have, I think you go late quarterback. And I like Purdy a lot. I like Dak a lot. And I like McCarthy a lot. And I like Justin Fields a lot. That's 4 guys that go late at quarterback that I think you can have your pick of.
Yeah.
So I think you wait on QB.
And I completely agree with you on QB. Like, and just for the audience at home, I'm sure everyone knows this, but I often look at the average point value per position and then determine the difference, above average kind of point value for that particular player. And the interesting thing about quarterbacks is there's a couple of guys that are outliers, but generally the group is pretty smack dab in the middle. There's not a huge distribution amongst all those players. So whether you get someone who's just below average, someone that we would, say sucks on this podcast and we would make fun of, they're probably, on an overall producing basis, not much lower than someone who's above average, who we would say is good. Maybe not elite, but good. So I normally save QB for late and try to get as many running backs and wide receivers and at least one tight end. Really good tight end.
Yeah, if you like to go tight end early, which I do think I mean, I went Kittle last night early. I think having a big tight end in a 17-team league is a major advantage, and that same principle can be applied to a 14-team league. I still think it's a big advantage. So I think there's a good tier gap after like McBride. I would say you have Brock Bowers, and then I have it Bowers, Kittle, McBride. Most people have it Bowers, McBride, Kittle, but regardless, I think it's those three, and then there's a gap. So if you wanted to target one of them, I think you could get one of those guys.
Yeah.
Probably coming back in that third round. I'd have to look, but I mean, I got Kittle in the third. I mean, it was early third, but that's of a 17-team league. So I think middle third or whatever you would pick, I'd be able to snag one of those guys there.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
Do you have a preference between CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson? Because I have them back to back.
I love Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
I think he's the best. However, JJ McCarthy, first year in the league, I know we expect a lot. I know that he, spent a season kind of standing on the sidelines learning, but that makes me nervous. So I'd probably go with CeeDee Lamb. I had him last year in the league, and he was fantastic, even though the Cowboys sucked.
Yeah.
So I'd probably go CeeDee Lamb.
Okay. I have CD above Jefferson anyways. And dude, unrelated factor, but them getting George Pickens helps CeeDee Lamb like so much. Like he really, really excels in the slot, and they're going to be able to pretty much full-time put him in there now with Pickens and Cooks, like whoever they have on the outside. So I mean, I think obviously he has a big season every year, but big season for CeeDee Lamb. So I would be fine. So I'd probably target him. I don't know. What would you do in the event? In the event somebody took CeeDee Lamb prior to you, though, that would probably mean you get one of the running backs.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to take CD over Chase. If anyone goes receiver,
I would take any of those running backs.
Yeah, I think
I've
you
got a
just take
little
one
bit of
of them
scar
unless
tissue
they're
around
gone.
Barkley, but
yeah, I mean, I'm clearly the lowest on Barkley, and it's just, I mean, I was really high on him last year, but really tough to repeat what he did last year, and then also just the sheer amount of touches he had last year it's just concerning.
well, considering he's like, so I had him year plus one injury, 1 year, and I kind of knew that would be an issue. I think I got him later, and so I was like, oh, this is a great value pick. And they limited in New York, they limited his activity so much that it ended up becoming a bad pick. And I thought towards the end of the season, when he would start feeling better and picking things up and it's reps and muscle memory and all that jazz, he would be one of those like killers in the final weeks heading into playoffs, etc. Never turned out. And then the following year, he was awesome. He was awesome again. And I didn't pick him in that year, and he was available. So the question is he going to be able to, like you said, at his age, his injury track record, is he going to be able to continue with what he did last year? So I would be lowest on him. I had Jahmyr Gibbs last year in one league. He was fantastic. I had Bijan Robinson in another league. He was great. So I would be okay with either of those two.
Yeah, I'm looking at RT Sports, like how they have guys ranked. So I'm trying to look at like around the rankings of when you would be picking secondly. So it's just it just comes down to what you want to do. Because if you take Lamb first, like if the three running backs and Chase are gone, you get Lamb at 5. It kind of becomes a conversation of when do you want to take your first running back then? That would be the conversation. Because I'm not honestly looking at the guys that would be there potentially for your second pick. I'm not in love with any of them. So if let's just for example, say you go receiver, tight end, and then we go down to when you pick next, then you would probably, you'd have to go running back then after that in a 14-team league. If it wasn't a 14-team league, I wouldn't even care. I'd probably just keep going no running back for a bit. But the 14 teams makes it a little bit more challenging.
Oh,
So we're
I
looking
have
in
to go
this.
running back.
Yeah, so we're looking like down in this like Tony Pollard range. I wouldn't be mad about that. I don't love
Why do you think Tony
Aaron
Pollard? I'm
Jones.
looking down at like 25. Like
No, I'm saying
you don't think that?
if you went receiver, tight end. So I'm saying coming back then.
Oh,
I'm looking
gotcha.
down in
Receiver,
this
receiver, tight
range.
end. No,
I
I would
like
probably
Tony
not. I
Pollard.
probably wouldn't go receiver for a second pick. I'd probably go running back.
I know, but the problem is like I like Tony Pollard more than most of these guys. So it's like I'd rather get another receiver and then go from there. Like if we're looking in that 20 range, right? Like Kamara's fine. He's very, very stable in what he does. But again, he's old. The team is terrible. Completely new quarterback situation. Like I don't even know what like Tyler Shugg, Spencer Rattler, I have no idea what they're going to do at quarterback. Like it's just an unknown, even though he's very, very stable. And then James Cook, I think, is fine. But a lot of his points come off touchdowns. And while he is in a contract year and he is a touchdown scorer, I don't like to bet on guys that all their points come from touchdowns because it's not like a
I agree.
sticky data
100%
point.
agree.
So that's what we're kind of looking. I like Chuba Hubbard, but he's ranked at 37 on RT Sports. It's like, do you want to reach up for him? I don't know. Like, I would be fine with that though, because I have him. Like in my rankings, I have Chuba Hubbard at 29, and I have James Cook at like in that 28 range. So, like, I have them close together. But if you came down and like you really wanted a running back, I would rather take Chuba Hubbard than James Cook, I think.
Yeah.
I don't hate Breece Hall. I don't know where does he ranked on this. He's interesting to me because of like he was like a number 2 pick last year, and then he just let people down. Oh no, he's a little bit higher up, isn't he? Yeah, he's at 21.
He's at 21. Yeah. Like I look at that group of Brees Hall, Kieran Williams, Jonathan Taylor. I probably would take any of those three. Yeah, I know that
Yeah.
wouldn't go with the
It would just
wide
depend
receiver,
like
tight
if they're
end.
there though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of just have
Well,
to play it.
those guys are not going to make it to the 50s.
No, 100% not. But if they're like I said, I feel like people go running back early, so there's a chance they're all gone. Like in that event, like if you're debating, like if it comes back to you and you're like, okay, I have DeAndre Swift available. Like I'd rather take a receiver, just straight up. I just would. But if someone like Chuba or James Cook was there, I would understand wanting to take a running back. Or like if a Jonathan Taylor slipped, for sure, definitely. I could understand that. I guess you just have to go however the draft falls to you.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. And I like Alvin Kamara last year. I did great on him because I think he was my second RB picked. So looking further down that list, there's a few guys who I had Joe Mixon last year. He was great until he got injured.
Yeah, I have some. Houston has I'm concerned. Offensive line is just really bad. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But again, he scores 10 touchdowns. I don't really know what Nick Chubb has left. Like, I don't know how much of a threat that is to Joe Mixon. I don't know. James Conner, I think, is a great pick at 51 here. I mean, this is he should be ranked significantly higher. I don't know. Let me see where I have him at.
You can just search at the top too.
Oh yeah, you're right. I literally have him at 51. So
the exact same.
Yeah, the exact same. He's good though. So Arizona, very, very good schedule for Arizona. They didn't bring anyone in at running back, so it's just him and Trey Benson again. And I mean, very, very good role for him last year in an ascending offense. Like I'm pretty bullish. I mean, like we talked about it earlier because I asked you about the power rankings because I know you like the Cardinals, but I mean, I'm bullish on the offensive just philosophies there. Let me see. I'm pretty sure he was top of the league or around there in terms of like the red zone usage last year. So if we look at attempts inside the 10, he was, let me find, I guess not as high as I thought. Yeah, so he's top 12 in inside the 20 attempts. Or he was 14th, tied for 14th last year and inside the 20 attempts. But I mean, they didn't do anything at running back. It's just going to be him and Trey Benson again, and he's clearly the lead back. And they have a very good schedule, and I think they have like a good play caller. So I like James Conner. I think is a good pick.
Okay, I like it. Okay, we
I
got
would definitely
15
target
minutes
him.
left.
Yeah, you want to switch to future stuff? I don't know. I'm
Switch
going to
to
be curious.
futures.
I'm going to be dialed into this draft tomorrow. I want to see how you draft.
And the weird thing is, it's still not showing up in my leagues. It's driving me a bit crazy, actually.
On like the website?
Yeah, so I don't, because they haven't changed the teams. Remember, I sent them that email. But the
Wait, the futures draft or your
the
draft tomorrow?
futures,
Oh, it will
futures,
never show up in your thing. It never goes in there.
it doesn't show up in the.
No, because it's a completely different software that they use because you're picking bets instead of like players or anything. So it never pops up on RT Sports. The only way you can track this is by looking at the draft board and who you picked and then like just adding it up. Like Tim will just add it up on the back end and just keep track of who has what money and stuff when the bets win or lose.
Crazy. Okay.
What pick do you have in that one?
8.
Out of 12?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, 16. 16.
Oh god, dang. That's a big draft too. All right. So, like I said,
You got
chat,
Howard.
we're talking about the futures draft now. I'm going to pull up FanDuel real quick just to look at odds real quick. So futures draft, you guys have watched me do these before. You get a fictitious amount of money. There's a maximum bet. There's a minimum bet. You have to have enough to make all of your picks. So you can't just max bet you can't just go max bet like 5 bets. You have to have enough to make your 12 picks or whatever it is. There's a maximum bet. There's a minimum bet. And you draft futures for CFL, NCAA football, and NFL. And whoever at the end of the football season has the most money wins the draft. It's a simple concept. So, Steve, how I play these, my advice to you. If you see people drafting player props, those people are loser. They have no chance of winning. So do not take any player props whatsoever because how this draft works is it's whoever has the most money at the end wins, not whoever wins the most bets. So if somebody takes 4 player props and gets them all right, the player props are even odds. So they're at most, even if they max bet them, they're at most doubling their money. So even if they win all 4, they've marginally made any money. Someone's going to come in with one futures pick on like a team to win something and lap you based off one pick because the odds are way higher than doubling your money on 4 picks. So do not take any player props. Strictly pick teams to win the championship or win their conference in college, or you know more about CFL than I do. I don't even know the dynamics of the CFL, but if there's a team you really like to win the CFL or something, like stick to that. Don't take any player props.
Okay. I like that.
I would typically max bet. I'd pick like 1 or 2 teams and max bet them. And then you can, if you want to do longer odds, like offensive player of the year or something like that, save your minimum bets for like those like 18 and 19 to 1s. But pick like a Super Bowl champion or 2 and max bet them just so you have that potential. I've come in second in the futures draft 4 times in my career. I have never been able to win. I keep getting second. So I hope that you bring this home.
Bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah, it's this classic story of my life. I do have a ring though. I don't know where it is.
So second place gets a ring?
No, but I finally won a league, so we finally have the ring sitting here. Thank you.
Very nice.
Took
If
me
I
forever.
was you, I'd be wearing it all the time.
I should just wear it around. That's a good point. I don't know.
I,
I just have it. I should start wearing it around. That's a good point.
I don't wear my wedding ring, but I would wear that.
That's oh my god. That's getting clipped right there. I am clipping
Yeah,
that. That's getting posted.
yeah. Don't.
Apologies.
Lauren watches our social
I'm
media.
so, I'm sorry, Lauren.
Still laugh. Still have a good chuckle.
That is hilarious. All right. So, is there any teams you like? I'll pull up Super Bowl odds. Let's see. The Super Bowl odds will go quick, I think. People like to do that, and they like to do like win totals. Don't bet those because again, you're getting even odds on stuff. Like it's just that only take MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Heisman, national title, Super Bowl, or CFL futures. I guess you could if you really want to get crazy. No, because even these aren't really paying that well, so I wouldn't even do that.
Don't even take division winners.
No. I like to correlate my bets too, which, I mean, anyone that's smart does this. So if I'm so the year I came in second a few years ago, it was the first time the Eagles went to the Super Bowl when they lost to the Chiefs. They were 14-1 preseason. Like they weren't really on anyone's radar. So I had Eagles Super Bowl. I had Jalen Hurts MVP. Like I kind of correlated it. So, if you're going to take a Josh Allen MVP or a Lamar Jackson MVP, maybe try and get that team to win or go to the Super Bowl. I guess
So
would
how
be
does it work?
my
Like
advice.
if someone picks the Bills to win the Super Bowl, I can't place that same bet.
Correct. You cannot double up. Once they're off the board, they're off the board. And they'll be removed from picking them in the draft room once somebody picks them.
Gotcha. Okay.
I would say first and foremost, I like Nico Collins Offensive Player of the Year. Offensive Player of the Year has become a wide receiver award because they always give MVP to a quarterback. So even when these guys have crazy like Tyreek Hill or Cooper Kupp almost going for like 2,000 receiving yards or whatever, like they get Offensive Player of the Year because they give the MVP to a quarterback. So if I'm looking at Offensive Player of the Year, I like Nico Collins 16-1. So that could be a good, I think the minimum bet in these is like $250 or something. So that could be a good one for that. Yeah. Or CeeDee Lamb. Again, I just said, I think he's going to have a big season. Guys like that, big name receivers, you could throw in a couple of them. Trying to look at even Achan's a little interesting. I mean, he could have a monster season, but Nico Collins is my favorite pick at 16-1. So I'd keep that on the radar. Rookie of the Year.
Well, I thought this one, they don't pay out very well, but I was thinking that Genty would be a good pick, but obviously the odds aren't great.
Yeah, even like a plus 270 is fine. That would be like in a max bet territory just to increase the payout. But I think I'm fine with that. Any of these guys, I don't know. It's such a weird. I don't really love any of the quarterbacks. Like the Titans just aren't going to be good enough, I think, for Cam Ward to win. Same with the Saints. And I don't even know if Jackson Dart's going to play much, if at all. So I don't really like any of the quarterbacks. Genty for sure is the front runner in the odds and just my brain because they don't have much running back competition, and Pete Carroll is probably going to ride him. I mean, pretty.
Yeah. Well, the same thing that you just mentioned. Like, I just don't believe that many of these guys are going to come in as offensive rookies, and it's so difficult in the positions that they play. For
sure. The Caleb Johnson could have a big role. I know they have Jalen Warren, but he excels in like zone blocking schemes, and that's like Arthur Smith's bread and butter. So that's why they went out and got him. And I was way higher than consensus on him at like coming out of the draft. So that could be like.
But do you think he has enough brand recognition to?
Yeah, I think he could just because they have Aaron Rodgers, so they're probably going to be in the playoffs. So if he had a double-digit touchdown season, like he could get in that mix for sure. That could be like a dart. I don't know. Like I'm not saying I'd make that my main pick, but I do really like Nico
Yeah.
Collins, Offensive Player of the Year. For Super Bowls though, oh God.
So would you double up on a category like Offensive Player of the Year, like max bet, CD, and Nico?
I wouldn't max them, but I would take multiple shots at it for sure. Because like I said, you have to make 12 picks, and I'm not taking any props. I'm not taking any win totals. So, after like I'm not going to be betting the Bucks or the Broncos to win the Super Bowl really. Like I don't really think they have much of a chance. So I would like try and secure a big Super Bowl pick, and then you can kind of get crazy after that because I just don't think many of these teams have a chance to win the Super Bowl, right? So like I'm not going to be wasting my pick later on with the Super Bowl. I'd rather take a
Yeah.
chance at someone having a good statistical season or something. The Ravens are like my Super Bowl pick. They just are. So I don't know like if they'll make it to you at the 8 pick. I would say any of these like first.
I was thinking Detroit and up. I was
Yeah,
like, my
yeah.
pick is the Bills.
Yeah, any of
But I was
these
thinking Detroit and up.
Detroit and up is fine. Any of these Detroit and up is fine. Let me pull college up quickly. Yeah, so I think there's a big 5 in college for me right now heading into the season, that being Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Penn State, and Clemson. That's the big 5 teams for me. So
Same
Clemson
again.
at
Sorry, I'll write this down because I don't know as much about college.
yeah,
Texas.
Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Penn State, and Clemson. Those are my big 5 to start the season. So Clemson at 12-1, I think is interesting. So if you don't know, they have a good quarterback, Cade Klubnik. They have the most returning production of any college team this year. They have a lot of guys back, including like their entire offensive line. They obviously got some. Dabo has never been a big portal guy, but they did get some guys in the portal this year, which was big for him because typically he would bring in like nobody. But he actually went out and got some guys. They're also in the ACC, which is an advantage for them because it's easier for them to get into this 12-team playoff because they're going to be like a clear favorite in the ACC and they don't have to deal with like an SEC or a Big Ten schedule. So I think Clemson at 12-1 could be a good pick for you to have some college action. You could correlate that with a Cade Klubnik Heisman. Don't hate that. Any of these Heisman picks are interesting to me. I would take a couple of these guys just to have some potential. I'd probably go Lagway and up on these guys. Yeah, I'd go Lagway and up on the Heisman, but maybe get a couple of those. If you could go Super Bowl pick and then like a Clemson after that and Klubnik Heisman, that would be interesting to me. I would make Clemson a priority, honestly, at 12-1 because I'm going to bet that just myself, I think. They should be a little bit higher. Like they should be above like Oregon, in my opinion, in the odds. And Alabama is just an unknown. I don't know. Like, interesting. What other bets do they have like in the draft room? Is there like to make the playoff
They've
or anything like that?
yeah, like you said, a bunch of statistical stuff, passing yards, TDs, etc. Super Bowl divisions wins fewest alt lines. I don't know what alt lines is.
Is that prop alt lines? That would be a little bit more interesting to me
It's
because you can get plus money on those.
their over under wins.
Oh, okay. I'd probably avoid that then.
No, maybe not. I don't know what alt lines are then. I don't know what these are.
Okay.
And why would this be different than wins?
Well, maybe it's just like you can, like if a team's win total is at 8.5, but you could just take them at a greater odds for like 10 plus or something. Maybe. I can't see the draft room, so I don't know. But
It says 49ers, small o, 12.5 wins.
Yeah, that's like an alt win total. You're correct there.
Does that
Okay.
mean that they're gonna like
That'd be 13 win. They need 13 wins.
13 wins?
That's
So
insane.
why would? Because then they've got over under. Okay, I follow now. I'm yeah.
Yeah.
I
Is
get
there
it.
any like do you know CFL? Like is there a team you like? There's some big
Yeah,
favorites, so it looks like
yeah. Like it's kind of interesting because I think the Stamps have a little bit of a chance again. I think the
they're
Rough
fraud.
Riders have a really good chance. They're
Okay.
good again. So those would be kind of the two that I was thinking of picking that are
Yeah.
middle of the pack that have a chance to win. Will make the playoffs. And the thing in the CFL is like again, you get to these one game win all. You get a few bounces, you get the right weather, you get hot at the right time. Like
Yeah.
those teams could win. Like any of the Stamps above, I think could win. But they have different odds here. Like they have the Stamps at plus 600. That's the same. They have the oh no, they got the same odds. Argo's at 950, so they're essentially the same.
Okay. I mean, I would be down for you to take like if you feel confident, like take one of the like you I don't know how many people will pick CFL. You might be able to get both those teams. Like I that would be fine.
Yeah,
Like having two teams in a league is completely fine.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
definitely
The
understand
favorites are
that.
still the Bombers and the Alouettes, but again, I could see those two teams winning,
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
especially the Riders. I think the Riders have a really good chance this year.
I'm gonna make some notes for you on college stuff that I like, just because you have to make 12 picks. So
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
send you some
that'd be
stuff.
perfect.
Yeah, definitely. And then you can, I mean, you know the NFL. Like I would make my first pick an NFL future
Yeah.
unless like the first like five guys do it, then obviously I'm not gonna take.
Well, my plan was the Bills at 700 plus 700.
Yeah, yeah, I'm fine with any of those top NFL teams for sure. And I'd probably max bet it. I would max
These guys
bet.
are already drafting right now. What?
What do you mean?
So confused. I see picks.
What? Can you share? Can you do a screen share of this? I want to see this.
They're picking
Wait. Okay. Okay. Do this.
wins Alabama, wins national championship Alabama.
Yeah. What is this going on? Is this draft going on right now? I thought it was on Friday.
That's what I thought too. But then I saw this clock.
I'm so confused. So I didn't do it because they said it was Friday.
It is in my calendar on Friday.
Yeah, that's
And
why I was like, I couldn't do Friday. I'm so confused right now. Maybe they're just like testing the draft board. I don't know. What's your email? Do you have an email that says like "Welcome to the Futures
yeah, I'm
League" or
looking
whatever?
that up right now.
Yeah, maybe they're just like they might be testing back end stuff.
Friday, July 18th, 10 a.m., 2 days. It's on
Friday, July
Sirius
18th.
XM.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, they're probably just testing stuff on the back end to like see
Oh, and
if
I
the.
don't know if I paid him yet. I'll do that.
I was like, imagine the draft was going on right now. We just live on stream.
That would, yeah. Well, it would probably work to our advantage because I would notice, and all
Yeah,
these other people would.
yeah. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Long stream today. We'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. We'll talk British Open going on tomorrow. I'm going to go more deeper into the fantasy rankings tomorrow. We'll walk through that whole 175. Good luck in your drafts, Steve. I have another draft tonight. So Sirius
Good
XM
luck in
Fantasy.
yours.
Yeah, we'll be
Tune
talking
in.
about that as well. But thank you guys for tuning
Tune
in.
in.
We'll,
Yeah, and I'll be I'll share anything I create on SportWise out with the community as well because I've got some ideas of some data space I'm going to create to help me in those draft situations. So I'll share them out with the audience.
awesome. Thank you guys. I'll see everybody tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.